Hi everyone, thanks for coming. If this keeps going in and out, I'm just going to speak very loudly. So my name is Julian Persaud. I've been in the company coming up to, 7 years. 2 years here in Singapore. I wanted to thank you for coming here today. I know it's a big part of your time of the day. We really appreciate your attendance. And thanks for putting up with the process of coming through the... Okay, oh, sorry. Oh, right, okay, thanks. Thanks for putting up with the process of actually getting in the building. It is a new building. For some of you, I think I've seen some familiar faces have been at our previous building. It's a great improvement on our last building for us, so we're happy to be here, but there is a bit of a process getting in, so I appreciate you doing that. And incidentally, for those of you who haven't seen, we've put a lot of effort in designing this building around the themes of Southeast Asia and other countries in Asia as well, because for those of you who don't know, this is our APAC hub as well. It's our head office for APAC. So, thanks for coming. I'm going to be relatively brief because everything that comes after me is a bit more interesting than what I'm going to say. I just wanted to touch on a couple of things. One is our investments in the region and in Singapore, and give you a sense of who we are and what we do here. And also touch upon the reason we're here on the ThinkTech and a little bit on this crossing the chasm concept. We've been here about 4 years. We've grown the team from 4 people, 4.5 years ago, through to about 300 people here. We're here to support you as business partners and advertisers who work with us. We've also recently gone on quite a big expansion plan across the region of Southeast Asia. So we've just opened up an office in Malaysia in January. Some of you may have interacted with the team there in Malaysia. And we very recently opened an office in Thailand. Not great timing before the floods, but the team there has done very well to stay dry and contribute over in Bangkok to the flood relief efforts. But we have an office there in Thailand, and we're looking out more broadly across the region. So a big investment for Google in Southeast Asia. We really strongly believe in these markets. We're hiring people to actually interact more with our advertisers and our partners, as I say, and I think that will continue. Okay, this seems a bit weird holding this like this, but we'll work with it. So one of the big cliches, of course, is that change is constant, but and we're seeing that in this region in particular. But I think we're seeing that this change is accelerating, particularly obviously in the tech sector. And I was at a friend's house last night for dinner, and they have a 2.5-year-old boy who was sitting in the corner playing with a Mac. Playing videos on YouTube, which is scary, but also very interesting to watch a child that didn't fiddle with the computer and only fiddled with it to change the video for 2.5-year-old. Now, I'm sure some of you will have similar stories of just seen that video on YouTube with the children with the iPad and how intuitive it is. I think that's a marker for where the change is coming. I've got 2 daughters, and in the future, when I explain to my 4-year-old that I used to have a telephone that was attached to the wall, I don't think she'll believe me. She won't believe me about CDs, probably. Certainly not records. In fact, some of you in the room are quite young, so maybe you don't know what records are either. But the point is, the change is coming very quickly, and it's accelerating. So the theme that we have today is, obviously it's ThinkTech, but we're talking about this chasm. And I want to explain what I think a chasm means. And I think there's a disconnect between what we think reality is out there and what it actually is. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you look at how many people here have a smartphone? Oh, all right, this is embarrassing then. Let's do it the other way. Who hasn't got a smartphone? Okay, right. Who's got a tablet? Okay, right. So, you're living, breathing, functioning people. I think the chasm is that lots of marketers don't actually believe that everyone else is like this and has this. And in fact, Singapore is one of the markets where it's most apparent. 140% phone penetration, something like that. Some of you will be more experts. In terms of smartphones, we think the most, but at least one of the most penetrated markets for smartphones in the world. What I'm saying here is the way marketers are tending to behave in terms of where they're investing and where the reality is there's a big chasm, there's a big gulf. And how does that play with the internet as an influencer? I don't think we've ever been advocates of people saying you should stop advertising offline and just put all your money online. I think the concept of the media mix is very important and how they interplay, and I believe you're going to have some speakers coming on which will go into much more detail and give you some case studies on that later. But one of the things that's very clear is where product research is happening in this space. And we've initiated lots of studies, third-party studies. It's always have to point out it's third-party and it's not us going out and doing the studies. But clearly from everything we've done in terms of product research, more time is spent online than offline on product research. Consistently, studies show this. And it's almost as if people can understand this intellectually, but then they don't go to the next leap, which is, what does this mean? What do I do differently in terms of sales and as a marketer? And I think that's critical. And you know, we've done a lot of events, and I've been in the online world for the last 12 or 13 years, and everyone says, this is the year, right? This is the year of the phone, this is the year of this. But one thing that is abundantly clear to me, specifically now in Singapore, is that the media mix and looking at your media mix is critical now, not necessarily tomorrow. I.e., it's still important tomorrow, but you need to start thinking about it now. And I think online's always been seen as that thing we learn about, we come and we try to understand it, and we try to input a bit into what we're doing. But at some future date, we'll really concentrate on it. All the indicators that we're seeing, and of course we have an interest because we're an online company, but in terms of online, the greater online, we're seeing all the indicators showing that it's moving now. This tipping point is happening. This chasm is being crossed right now. And so, you know, I guess another cliche that has kind of been put about by the online industry for the last few years, which is, you know, having a marketing campaign without online is like having a TV campaign without sound, I actually think is actually true now. Why is this true? Well, there's lots of supporting facts. But one thing that's clear, offline drives online activity. So all the great stuff that does offline, invariably what happens is people go online. So these things are in concert, they're not distinct. In fact, we may be doing ourselves a disservice by calling it online. Because if all you people here have got a smartphone and a generous data plan, hopefully, from one of the providers, you're probably online all the time. So the concept of being offline goes away. So there's an argument to say, maybe as a discussion point, the language that we're using doesn't actually fit with actually what's happening in consumer behavior. Now, I did have a few stats. I'm not usually a great fan of lots of stats, but I thought it was worth reading out a few just to whet your appetite. So, according to some of the third parties, 91% pay attention to pay at least attention to at least one offline advertisement. 79% then go to the internet for further research. So almost 4 out of 5 people are heading to the internet, of which search engines, not surprisingly, are the starting point. Smartphone buyers. Now, you've all got one, but you're probably going to have another one very soon. So it's a constant churn of smartphone buyers. 98% of smartphone buyers plan to use at least one online source during their research process. 98%. 48% of their research time is spent on 3 online sources, and I think this is critical to understand. Search, we mentioned, manufacturer sites, tech reviews. Those 3 things, search, manufacturer sites, tech reviews, account for about half of that research time. And it said that these online sources are more influential than any other media, including offline. And interestingly, greater than a third of phone buyers say they would be less interested in a brand if it were not advertised online. 73% of consumer electronics consumers say they feel more positive towards a brand after seeing its ad on the internet. Look, I could go on and on in terms of these stats. I think it becomes a little bit pressing the point a bit too much. But one thing I can see, and it's not just our company, I think other companies in our space who initiate third-party studies consistently see the same results. It's not like this is some sort of magic study that we've happened upon that's kind of an outlier, which is what we kind of tell people. The body or the corpus of studies is showing the same stuff. It might be out 2% up or down, but it's basically the same message. And the message is this is happening now. So, lots of stats, but I think it's much more interesting to hear the stories. I really do appreciate you coming in. I wanted to welcome you to our new office, and thank you for coming in.